Leave everything and get out of this house. I'm taking it, furniture and all. I couldn't believe my ears when I heard this from my sister-in-law. Ever since my husband, Noah, passed away, she's been doing whatever she pleases. Even when I remind her that this was mine and Noah's home, she doesn't care. I felt that even if I resisted, nothing would change. So, I decided to leave everything behind, just as she wanted. Fine, I'll leave. My name is Isabella. Noah was a young CEO who took over his father's company. It's a major corporation that everyone knows, with a vast number of employees. I became his secretary right when he became CEO, and we got to know each other closely. During tough times, we supported each other, and as days went by, we fell in love and started dating. Everyone at the company knew about our relationship, and since we were both successful, we were admired. 2 years later, we got married. When he proposed, it was the happiest moment of my life, and our relationship remained strong after marriage. Later, I quit my job as a secretary to support Noah full-time at home. We've been married for almost 10 years now. We're planning a trip for our upcoming anniversary. Every day with Noah is a joy. However, there was one problem. I have an older brother named Liam. Our dad works as a driver and our mom is too frail to work. After high school, Liam got a job without going to college and moved out. I went to college with money I saved from part-time jobs, and later got a job as a secretary at Noah's company. The pay was great, and I mostly saved or sent money home. Liam, knowing this, often asked me for money. Some of the money I sent to our parents also ended up with him. Liam had a temper, and to avoid confrontations, I never said anything. I wished my parents wouldn't give him money, but they probably found it easier to appease him. Growing up, Liam often took things from me. Now, he works a blue-collar job, and, according to our parents, is heavily into gambling. From horse racing to slot machines and lotteries, he seems to be into everything. Despite having such a troublesome brother, I still gave him money after getting married. Sometimes he even asked Noah for money, which I really wished he'd stop. Every day, I was frustrated with Liam, but his wife Harper was even more of a headache. Given Noah's position, we lived in a luxury, high-rise apartment furnished with high-end items for when company associates visited. We bought the apartment thinking of our future children. I had difficulty conceiving, but after 2 years of preconception care, I finally became pregnant. Because of my frequent hospital visits, I'm often away from home, but Harper would still be at our place. It would be okay if she visited, but she'd have a mess and treated me like a servant. Isabella, I'm hungry. Get me something. I'm leaving for the hospital soon. Then order delivery. Harper never lifts a finger or offers to pay when she's at our place. I have to do it all. When I talked to Liam about it, he didn't help much. Just listen to my wife. You have plenty of money. No matter how much we earn, this is a separate issue. I've confronted Harper, but she'd just say, "You're annoying. Take money from me and go gambling with it." It's been a year since Liam married her. For over 6 months, I've been feeling overwhelmed by their behavior. I've talked to Noah about it, and he's apparently discussed it with my parents. But I assume there's been no progress since they won't listen. Every day I thought about how I needed to resolve this before our baby arrives. Sure, everyone dreams of a luxurious life, but no matter how much money you have, you shouldn't misuse it. I wished every day that they'd at least stop gambling with other people's money. The daily stress combined with pregnancy made my morning sickness severe. Because of this, I sometimes escaped home to help with Noah's company work. I could only do seated tasks like paperwork, but it eased my mind. I never imagined that things with Harper and Liam would get worse. On our anniversary, Noah and I had plans to dine at a fancy restaurant with a city view. I prepared early. From tomorrow, we planned a 3-day, 2-night stay at a distant luxury hotel. I was excited, even buying new clothes and getting my hair done. I wanted to always be the wife Noah found beautiful, even at 35. As usual, Harper tagged along, getting pampered on my dime, but I didn't mind. I checked our preparations for tomorrow, ensuring we didn't forget anything. Though it was a lot to manage, I was excited about the hotel. Time passed, but Noah didn't return, and there was no message. Maybe he's held up at work. I waited for his call, but nothing came. Just as I was about to call his office, my phone rang. It was an unknown number. Answering, I heard, "Is this Mrs. Noah? Please come to the hospital immediately." The call was from a hospital. If they mentioned Noah's name, something must have happened to him. I quickly grabbed essentials, hailed a taxi, and rushed to the hospital. I was led to the surgery waiting area. When I arrived, the nurse called me into the examination room, and I listened to the story. The doctor explained that Noah had been in a collision with a car that ran a red light. He was critically injured and undergoing surgery. They told me to brace myself as he might not make it. I was in shock and couldn't process the news. After hearing about the accident, I was in a panic and barely remember what followed. I prayed desperately outside the operating room. "Noah, please stay alive, please." 4 hours later, the surgery door opened and the doctor emerged. "We did our best. I'm so sorry." Noah didn't make it. I cried uncontrollably, my sobs echoing in the dim hospital corridor. Memories with Noah flooded my mind, and though a nurse tried to comfort me, I barely noticed. Soon after, my mother-in-law arrived, crying in my father-in-law's arms. Then, a male doctor approached with a bouquet. "Are you his wife? Mr. Noah wanted you to have these when he was brought in." Apparently, Noah was conscious when the ambulance arrived and asked them to bring the flowers from his car. He insisted they be given to his wife before losing consciousness. The bouquet, slightly damaged from the crash, was still a beautiful bunch of roses. Tucked within was a note. "Isabella, thank you for being by my side for 10 years. I'm always grateful. Please take care from now on." Reading the letter, I hugged it close and I cried even more. That night, my mother-in-law stayed by my side, but my heart was still shattered. The first night without Noah was unbearable, and I couldn't sleep a wink. The next morning, I felt no better, but my mother-in-law reminded me of my pregnancy. So I tried to rest a bit. When I woke up, I felt a kick from the baby inside me, bringing me back to reality. This child is mine and Noah's, and it's about to be born. It's as if the baby kicked to tell me to pull myself together. So I whispered a promise to Noah that I'd protect our child and live strongly. I washed my face with cold water and tried to fix my tear-streaked face. A few days later, after discussions with the family, we held Noah's funeral. Many attended, including family, colleagues, and business partners. But amidst the mourners, one person stood out. Why should I wear mourning attire? It's so outdated. Harper was dressed in a flashy party dress, completely out of place. Many looked at her with disdain, but she seemed unfazed. She even started flirting with some of the business executives. It was clear she was after their money. After the funeral, my mother-in-law called a family meeting about Noah's life insurance. She believed I should receive everything, but some family members thought it should be shared. Harper and Liam joined the discussion. Shouldn't the insurance money go to Liam, the eldest sibling? Harper's argument seemed driven by her own desire to get a share. She even said, Isabella probably has enough savings. She doesn't need it. I sighed at Harper's audacity and confronted her about her inappropriate attire. No matter the reason, you two won't see a dime of that insurance money. And your attire? Hardly fitting for a funeral. As I spoke up, the surrounding family members shot icy glares at Harper. Feeling the tension, Liam and Harper quickly left the scene. For Harper, this was the first time meeting many of the relatives. But her first impression? Absolutely terrible. What's the big deal? Harper, clearly irritated, stormed out with a flushed face. Seeing her like that, I felt a bit of satisfaction. Always being taken advantage of, today felt like a small win. I hoped she'd realize she can't always have her way. But that hope was short-lived. The matter of Noah's insurance would be discussed later, and days went by. After the confrontation at the funeral, Harper disappeared. She was probably gambling away, angry at me. A week passed without seeing Harper, and it felt like a peaceful break. One day, I had to visit my mother-in-law's house. After finishing my errands, I decided to shop before heading home, but as I approached my house, I noticed the lights were on. Thinking it might be a burglar, my palms got sweaty. I tried to stay calm, turned on my phone's recorder, and attempted to unlock the door, but the key wouldn't fit. After multiple attempts, I rang the doorbell. Harper's voice responded. "What are you doing? Open up!" She opened the door. Glaring at me in her casual clothes, she had changed the locks while I was at my mother-in-law's house. It seems that she waited for me to leave and changed it during that time. Then she said something shocking. "I'm taking this house with everything in it. Leave everything and go." I couldn't believe my ears. However, the words that come back are exactly the same as what I heard. "This is Noah's and my house. You should leave. You don't have a husband anymore. The house is too big for you. I'm doing you a favor." I remembered I was recording the conversation. If I continue to resist, I will be weaker and lose. I decided to back down for now and use the recording later. "Fine," I said, and left. I called my mother-in-law, who kindly took me in. I told her everything and played the recording. "This is just like theft," she said, "and I could possibly get compensation for the emotional distress." She advised contacting the police and a lawyer. The next day, I did just that. The lawyer confirmed it was a case of theft and that I could get compensation. I updated my mother-in-law on everything. My parents knew about the situation, but seemed to have given up on Liam. The audacity of trying to take a home from a pregnant woman is beyond belief. I wrapped my arms around my mother-in-law who was embracing me, holding her tightly. After a moment, she pulled away, looking deeply into my eyes. "Speaking of the insurance money, I really wanted you to have it, Isabella. Noah wanted that too." With that, she handed me an envelope. Inside was a letter. A quick glance, and I recognized Noah's handwriting, tears forming in my eyes. The letter was his will, written in case anything ever happened to him. Given his position as a CEO, he probably wrote it knowing the unpredictability of life. The message was clear. All the insurance money and his savings should go to me and our unborn child. Regarding the company, he mentioned that I might need to work if he wasn't around. He hoped I'd take over the business and become the CEO. But with a child on the way, he also suggested I could take a break and trust the company to a reliable employee. I wasn't immediately sure about taking over the company, but having observed Noah's work closely, I felt it was possible. Reading the letter, I felt Noah's presence more than ever and cried for a while. Once I composed myself, I told mother-in-law I agreed about the insurance money, but needed time to think about the company. She offered to let me stay with her for a while, and I gratefully accepted, heading to bed and falling asleep quickly. The next day, following mother-in-law's advice, I contacted a lawyer, visited a law firm, and then the police station. I had done some online research, and as expected, it was treated as theft. The lawyer assured me he would claim compensation. I finished all the procedures that day and shared everything with mother-in-law. She had already informed other family members about the recent events. I also spoke to my parents, but they seemed resigned, saying they didn't want anything to do with Liam anymore. I didn't want to see such parents anymore, so I just waited for the police to contact me. A few days later, I received a call from the police. "We're headed to your previous residence now. Is that okay?" I quickly agreed and followed them to Harper's place. I waited in a parked police car nearby. The police rang the doorbell and knocked. Upon seeing the police, Harper's face turned pale. "Sorry, ma'am, we're with the police. You're under arrest for theft." But wait, Harper, usually defiant, was speechless and visibly shaken. Liam was also arrested as an accomplice. I had never seen him so terrified. Seeing their reactions gave me a sense of relief. Later, the police and lawyer updated me, and I was able to return home. Apparently, Liam and Harper were evicted from the rented apartment due to unpaid bills, which led them to forcibly take my house. Regardless of their reasons, they should have known better. They didn't seem to understand that what they did was wrong. Hopefully, this arrest will be a wake-up call for them. Of course, they now owe me compensation. I hope they accept this as atonement. Finally back in my high-rise apartment, I called mother-in-law. "Hello, mother-in-law. I've decided to take over Noah's company. It's his legacy." "That's wonderful. Noah must be smiling down on us from heaven." I was determined to continue the legacy Noah had built as a CEO. It felt like the right thing to do for him. With a renewed sense of purpose, I realized I had forgotten something. I approached a photo of Noah and whispered, "I'm home," with a smile.
"When I don't like your attitude, you're fired." I was declared so by the president's wife, Mary, and I obediently complied. However, quitting my job would put me in a financial bind. That's when a brilliant idea struck me. "Are you sure about this?" Mary mocked me as I said that. After returning home, I immediately scheduled a meeting with a rival company. And as a result of joining the rival company as a top salesperson, I made a comeback. I'm Paula, 45 years old. I'm not married and don't have children. I have a boyfriend, but I don't plan on marrying him. We live together but manage our finances separately. I work in sales at my company. I was deeply captivated by sales as soon as I joined. I believe I have a fair amount of sales talent. This confidence started with the Rookie of the Year award in my first year. Since then, I've consistently been the top performer, surpassing all my peers. I maintain the best record in the company, and no one has yet surpassed my past achievements. My status in the company has significantly changed over time. Now recognized by the president, I'm invited to important meetings to share my opinions. I'm proud of that. One day, I heard the president got married. She was 17 years younger than the president and apparently used to be an actress. Her name is Mary. I thought I might have seen her on TV. The president seemed completely smitten with Mary. I immediately conveyed my congratulations to him. He was pleased and invited me to their wedding. Mary looked confident and admirable at the wedding, but after she joined the company, my impression of her changed drastically. She started acting as she pleased, using the president's name as a shield. Mary joined the company last month. The president appointed me to mentor Mary in the techniques I knew. In other words, I became Mary's supervisor. He wanted to make her vice president and valued my contribution to the company. I was nervous about this sudden responsibility, but also felt recognized. On Mary's first day, I introduced her to my clients after a polite introduction. Her demeanor was perfect, fitting for an actress. I thought she might be a great asset, but that impression quickly faded. I don't want to go to sales anymore. What? She said this a week into the job. Claiming she didn't need to do sales as she was becoming a vice president, she refused to go out. Why is that? Did something unpleasant happen? It's because the sun is too strong. Oh, what? I couldn't believe my ears, but it wasn't a misunderstanding. Mary, with a disgruntled face, began to complain. I used to be an actress, you know. I never had to walk around town in the sun sweating. It's how I maintained my beauty. Besides, the president likes me this way. That's why I want to keep my beauty for him. Her reasons seemed plausible, but Mary was no longer an actress and needed to endure some discomforts for beauty. There are many ways to protect against sunburn now, but Mary stubbornly refused them all. I told her that with this attitude, she couldn't work, but Mary just scowled at me. I persisted, explaining that as a salespeople, we have to go outside to work, but Mary wouldn't listen. Paula, you're lucky you don't have to worry about looks. And you're older anyway, but from my perspective, you should be the one concerned about your age. Aren't you unmarried because you don't pay attention to your appearance? You should focus more on self-improvement. Then she gave such absurd advice and, with a deep sigh, said she envied my carefree attitude. I was irritated, but arguing over such trivialities was a waste of time. I couldn't ignore Mary, so reluctantly I left her with some simple office tasks and went out for sales alone. At that time, I just thought she was in a bad mood, but Mary's tyrannical behavior escalated from that day. Unknowingly, something shocking was about to happen to me. The next day, when I arrived at the office, the other employees seemed confused. Turns out Mary had suddenly proposed a new system. It involved conducting all businesses through her. Shocked, I asked what it meant, and Mary, looking smug, stared at me. I'm going to be vice president, so I thought it'd be good to understand all operations. I suggested it to the president, and he approved. So everyone will work through me now. You've been told to cooperate with me by the president, right, Paula? I was astonished by Mary's words, but if the president approved, we couldn't resist. I reluctantly accepted Mary's request. Then Mary took an even more surprising action. This happened that very morning. Mary, as usual, didn't want to go to sales, and I was left to do it alone. But I saw her call our department head, Jamie, saying she needed to talk. Wondering what it was about, I left for a client meeting. When I returned that afternoon, I encountered a shocking scene. What? Mary? What are you doing? That's Jamie's seat. Mary was sitting in Jamie's chair, acting like a boss. When I asked Jamie, Mary proudly said she had told him to resign. Demanding an explanation, Mary confidently declared, I am becoming vice president. I deserve a seat like this. Besides, we'll be working through me now, so Jamie is unnecessary. I'm practically the department head. What will the president say about this? He won't complain to me, and Jamie resigned. He said he's leaving the company himself, so it's none of my concern. Mary's malicious smile left me speechless. After taking over Jamie's seat, Mary began to berate anyone not aligning with her wishes. The department was frustrated with her tyranny, but no one dared speak up for fear of her threatening to tell the president. This situation lasted a month. Mary's whimsical approval of operations hindered our work. Her mood dictated whether things went smoothly or not, and she often dumped the hassle on me. I ended up with extra work, unable to spend time with clients as before. My performance dropped to half its usual. This was a serious problem. As I had the most clients in the company, my performance directly impacted the company's success. I delegated tasks to other departments when possible, but there were assignments directly from the president I couldn't pass on. If we fell behind our rivals, it would affect the company's reputation. Amid these thoughts, Mary summoned me. She wanted me to handle a guest she was supposed to meet. I complied and took care of the guest in her stead. Upon returning to the department, Mary summoned me again. This time, she ordered me to handle her menial tasks. She was just drinking coffee and playing with her phone, so I wished she would do them herself. With another client meeting pending, I politely declined the menial tasks. Choosing my words carefully, Mary turned, raising an eyebrow. Are you saying you won't follow my orders? Not at all. I just think you can handle these yourself, so I'll prioritize my other work. Is that work more important than what the future vice president asked? Do you understand your position? Mary glared at me with a displeased look. It seemed she was in a particularly bad mood today. I felt utterly annoyed at being tangled up in her unreasonable complaints. Maybe my irritation showed on my face because Mary shouted in anger. You always do this. Do you still think of me as a subordinate? Just so you know, our positions have long since reversed. I hate being looked down upon the most. Just listen to what I say. I was appalled by Mary's irrational behavior. Scowling at me, she belittled and insulted me before leaving the department, saying she felt sick. After she left, I finished the menial tasks she had asked of me and hurried to my client. That evening, I was summoned by Mary to the conference room. The appointed time had long passed, but Mary entered with an air of confidence. She started by saying she had something important to discuss. Thinking I had chosen my words carefully, Mary turned to me with a raised eyebrow. I don't like your attitude, so you're fired. I was utterly shocked at Mary's declaration. What authority did she have to say such a thing? Seeing my confusion, Mary smiled smugly. If you don't like it, obey me. Even if you are the president's favorite, I can easily get you fired. Mary laughed triumphantly. Stunned by this unexpected turn, I realized that obeying Mary would only lead to terrible treatment. Despite the president's request, I was beginning to feel like being manipulated by Mary was unacceptable. However, quitting would mean financial struggles. That's when a brilliant idea struck me. Are you sure about this? Mary mocked me as I said that. I sighed at her attitude. Understood. Huh? Surprised at my response, I decided to comply. Are you really quitting? You said it, didn't you? But I said you could stay if you obeyed, right? You're firing me because you don't need me, right? Then I'll quit. Mary seemed utterly taken aback by my response, speechless. I told Mary I would clear my desk and left the conference room. Glancing back as I closed the door, I saw Mary standing there dumbfounded. When I started cleaning my desk, colleagues who had heard the rumors gathered around. Are you really quitting? What did Mary say to you? The department can't function without you, Paula. My colleagues expressed their regret at my departure, but having already declared my resignation, I couldn't stay. I quickly said my goodbyes, told them my work was ready for transition, and advised them to check my computer later. I promised to be available for consultation if they called, and then left the company. On my way home, I called Jamie. After exchanging current information with Jamie, I immediately set up a meeting with a rival company upon reaching home. The next day, my new job was with a rival company of my former employer. Jamie, now my boss, and I were about to embark on many sales ventures together. The president of the rival company warmly welcomed us and even expressed his expectations. My boss seemed revitalized by returning to fieldwork. It feels like old times. I always admired you as a department head, Jamie. Hey, I'm not a department head anymore. Right. Sorry about that. As we exchanged light-hearted banter and approached the company's front desk, we noticed something amiss. Wondering what was happening, my surprise grew upon seeing the woman at the reception. What are you doing here, Mary? There you are, Paula. Come back to our company right now. Huh? I I invited an agitated Mary to a guest room to calm her down, asking Jamie to join us despite the inconvenience. I asked Jamie to join me despite the inconvenience. Everything's a mess. Mary had been ranting like this since she started talking. Since she insisted I return to the company immediately, I asked Mary why, considering she had fired me. Then Mary shared what happened after yesterday. Minutes after I left the company, the president rushed into the department. Apparently, an HR employee had reported my departure. He was questioning and visibly upset with the other employees. Mary then explained the situation. I told her to quit because she always resisted me, and she quit just like that. She must be too proud and impatient. How can we improve efficiency with someone like that around? I made things clear, so don't worry. Mary seemed to think she did the right thing in firing me. She even believed that her personality traits would reveal to the president that he was being deceived. However, the president yelled at Mary. What have you done? Are you trying to ruin my company? Huh? Mary was shocked, having been yelled at for the first time. She had never been scolded before, no matter what she did. She confronted the president, suspecting him of infidelity. The president scolded Mary. He elaborated on how much I contributed to the company and declared he wouldn't let her be involved in business matters anymore for pushing out a valuable employee. Wait, aren't you going to make me vice president? Why would I make someone who doesn't listen to others and acts unilaterally on important matters a vice president? I was happy Mary took an interest in the company. I wanted her to learn skills from Paula, but why did she do this? The president was distressed, holding his head. He even heard that I joined a rival company and was despairing that his company would now fall behind significantly. Unaware of my vital role, Mary was held responsible for letting me go. Mary was furious, but the president's anger was even more intense. He apologized to all employees present, tears in his eyes. The employee said it's not the president's fault and blamed Mary. Still, the president felt responsible, saying it would be his fault if the company failed because Mary was his family. The situation was calmed by the president's secretary. The secretary hastily approached and managed to take the president away for the moment. Although the secretary reassured him that the company wouldn't collapse so easily, the president seemed anxious, worried that a rapid decline in performance would lead to a loss of trust and the company's inability to function. I did it for the best. Now he even said he'll divorce me. If you return to the company, I won't have to get divorced. So come back right now. Hearing this, I exchanged glances with Jamie, who was beside me. Then I denied her request, stating it was impossible. To Mary's howling question of why, I explained that we had our positions in this company to consider. Just because you have transferred, what position do you think you have? An ordinary employee acting all high and mighty? Just come back. Annoyed by Mary's words, we decided to enlighten her about our current positions. Unfortunately, I am now a division head at this company. My boss here, who was a department head at your place, is now an executive officer here. We're not in positions to be easily discarded. Hearing this, Mary gasped in disbelief, looking at us. What do you mean? How can you be in management positions just after transferring? We are listed as transfers, but in reality, we were headhunted. What? We had offers for a long time, but we declined because of our gratitude to your company. However, after you came and we were dismissed, we lost our place. We approached this company's president, and as a result, we were welcomed with great treatment. Mary was dumbfounded at my calm explanation. Jamie and I looked at her coldly. That's why we can't and won't return. You should face your own responsibilities instead of staying here. How can you abandon me? You abandoned us first. Mary turned pale, shocked by my words. Seeing her face, I felt slightly relieved. After being treated so badly and overworked, it seemed fair to be a bit harsh. Unsatisfied, Mary leaned towards me, trying to intimidate. Why refuse when I'm telling you to come back? You owe my husband's company, don't you? The president is competent. He can maintain performance even without us. We do feel in debt to him, but you took away the chance to repay that debt. But... Thinking her pleas wouldn't sway me, Mary turned to Jamie, but Jamie, like me, firmly refused to return. Mary persisted, offering good positions in her company, but we steadfastly declined. The president of the rival company who took us in when we were lost is our benefactor now. We regretted leaving our former president, but decided to repay our new company's kindness with results. So please take responsibility for what just happened. That's how you show sincerity to the president. No, I don't want a divorce. Since you said I can return, can't you stop the divorce? You are my subordinate, so you should take responsibility, right? Haven't you said our positions have long reversed? That was just in the heat of the moment. Mary faltered in her words. I sarcastically told her it would be nice if you could handle it with the vice president's authority. Mary's face twisted in frustration at my words. Finally exasperated with Mary's refusal to leave, we called security. We asked her to leave with the guards. After all, it was her fault and she should stop avoiding it and decide her future with the president. You have ruined my life. Cornered, Mary tried to blame me for everything. Her irresponsibility was almost refreshing. I told her she could hold a grudge if she wanted, but to never involve me again. Afterward, Mary got divorced. Being a former actress, her story even made it to the tabloids. Her irresponsible and aggressive behavior was heightened, and she was labeled as a villainess trying to take over the company. Once a glamorous former actress, Mary was now viewed with disdain. After the story broke, she was constantly pursued by reporters. She became depressed, always suspected of all intentions in every action and word. Rumors said she would soon go abroad, unlikely to return until things cooled down. Meanwhile, I was significantly boosting performance at my new company with Jamie. Our true skills shone in the field, not just because of our positions. I actually pursued sales opportunities while simultaneously developing a system to fulfill my role efficiently. As a result, the company's management improved and continued to ascend. The president was pleased and I was satisfied with my new life stage. My former company, just as I believe, recovered from its temporary slump. Thanks to being seen as a victim, its performance improved remarkably. The president was truly capable. Now we are good rivals competing with each other.